Hey everyone, Orion back here. I've been having a great deal of fun when it comes to the Hate Scythe and its new Incarnon mod. I have to say it's been fantastic to relive what has essentially been the basically just been power creep from other weapons, and really see this weapon return to its former glory. I have a build that I'd like to share with all of you today. And before we get started, a few things to point out. With this build in consideration, I use the Naramon tree with its first passive unlocked and fully upgraded, because melee combo counter is incredibly valuable to this build. It gives you the ability to move between groups of enemies without losing your melee combo multiplier, because the amount of potential damage you lose and then you have to build back up is more or less a pain. I'd also like to say thank you very much to those who watched the first video and are returning to this one as well. I only just recently looked at the analytics for it, and I've been absolutely blown out of the water considering how receptive you all have been, so thank you for that. Anywho, let's get on with the video because that's what you're here for. So, the Hate Scythe is a fickle thing. It has pretty average stats. However, with this build specifically, I think it is quite nice. So we have Blood Rush, Condition Overload. Blood Rush for increased critical chance, and I think it tops out with max stacks of Blood Rush to be about 200% bonus crit chance. So that easily goes into the reds. Condition Overload for bonus melee damage per status type. Gladiator Vice and Might. And you might ask why I didn't opt to use Berserker Fury over Gladiator Vice, even though that one's technically better. I saw the potential for more critical chance using the Gladiator set. Even 2 pushes it over in terms of DPS than using Gladiator Might and Berserker Fury. Amalgam Organ Shatter, because a classic. Volcanic Edge increased the heat ticks on Incarnon form and gives it a little bit of armor strip potential. Jagged Edge for increased slash damage, because this build does do a lot of slash. And Weeping Wounds, which is 40% chance per combo multiplier. That just tops it all off in a neat bow. We will go through some enemies now. I shall spawn in a second. Okay, so I've just spawned in a series of enemies from all walks of from all 3 factions. If you guys don't know, Cosmo Gokstad officers have the highest armor, some of the highest armor in the game. Xmasses is just annoying to deal with in terms of Corpus and Infestation. Now, we'll go ahead and just start beating the absolute snot out of all of them. And you'll quite quickly see just how ferocious this thing can be when stacked up to max combo count stats. You also notice that the combo multiplier actually affects the projectiles, and not only the melee attacks and the scythe itself. So, for example, enemies hit by the orbs are affected by the combo count, which then have a multiplier of ×8. But you can build it up even further, up to 220. And if I go ahead and spawn more in, they will still be the build will still be dealing relatively the same damage, even though the stacks are decaying not slowly. Yeah, so move between 2 groups of enemies and you can still deal a great deal of damage. And all you have to do is rush back in, melee a few things, and then you can use this as a ranged weapon to take things out from afar. You'll also notice that, these enemies are also taking a great deal of heat and bleed damage over time, is because this build can probably be classified as a status build as well. However, it's more than likely just a hybrid. And on Cosmic Dead enemies, their massive amount of armor leads to a lot of damage reduction. However, it doesn't seem to be too much of an issue for the slash heat build that I have on this thing. I've also written down some tips and tricks as well. I use this weapon only as a solo. Only as a melee itself, due to the buff I get with Swordsman's Flourish, which is with only a melee equipment equipped, I get 100% combo count chance, which every hit I get 2. So that allows me to stack combo count quickly, and the quicker I can stack it, the quicker I can get to 220, and the quicker I can get to 220, the easier it will be for me to deal damage from immediately in front and afar. I also opted for Oricon Reach, which gives me a 0.8 range, which gives this scythe a range of 3.6, when that's typical of the base ranges of longswords, which is nice. And for my last evolution, I used critical chance increased by 10% to ensure that those red crits are always going to... with max stacks of Blood Rush, I'm always going to get red crits. Some other things that I had written down is standing too close to a projectile from the Incarnon mode induces a knockdown effect. And on this build, I have several helpful mods like Power Drift and Sure-Footed. I do not have a Prime Sure-Footed, otherwise I'd be using that. If I can resist knockdown, it would help to not be vulnerable to attack, and Constitution, which gives me faster knockdown recovery. And for those who are more experimental, Mirage's first ability, where she duplicates herself, does not duplicate the effect of the Hate Incarnon mode, nor does Zaku's first ability, which is the Void Bubble. It has no effect. So, with that all out of the way, I'd like to switch over to some gameplay to really show you how this fleshes out in a more practical environment. Here's the portion of the video where I give live commentary and will be showing you funny numbers and funny math. Now, this isn't a Nidus showcase build, right? So, do not take my gameplay of Nidus to be what is expected of Nidus players, because I am not exactly great nor experienced with him, but I think he's a good frame for grouping together enemies, which makes it easier to stack critical combo. And as you can see here, a little bit of damage reduction. I can really pump out those big old funny numbers. Now, they may not be, 7, 9, 11 friggin' digits long, but what I can say is that this build does incredibly well and holds its own solo against level 132 grenade. The burn effect gives it a nice amount of crowd control, so whenever enemies get hit by either a projectile or the scythe itself, they instantly go into a burn state, which stops them from shooting you, which is always nice. then they're affected by a large amount of slash damage and slash ticks, and then they're either burned to death or they bleed out, which at the end of the day, killing enemies is what we want. So anyway, this has been the Hate Incarnon build. I appreciate anyone who sticks through. Sorry for the ambulance in the background, if you can hear that. I appreciate anyone and everyone who decided to stick to the end of the video. It is a pleasure to make these videos as a hobby for those who watch, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.